Today you're going to start learning about how cells actually grow and divide as part of the process of development, from going from one cell to a fully formed organism. First, some background information. Vertebrate animals are animals that all have backbones. So we are vertebrate animals. So are birds, cows, fish, and frogs. Now we're big, we can see each other without a microscope, and we're made up of a lot of cells, billions of cells. But we all started off as a single cell, and that was a fertilized egg. So we started off, there was an egg, a sperm fertilized that egg and basically fused together and combined genetic information, and that formed a single cell called a zygote. So how does that single cell grow into a fully formed organism? That was a big question that scientists grappled with for a really, really long time. And some scientists thought, well, maybe there's a tiny, fully formed organism inside that zygote. And as that zygote develops, that little tiny, fully formed organism just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. In 1910, the scientist J.F. McClendon removed one cell of a two-celled frog embryo. So there was an embryo and it had just started to grow. It was made up of two cells. And so he just took one of those cells and removed it. So there was one cell left. And he let that cell, that remaining cell, grow. And he found that that remaining cell actually developed into a normal frog embryo. So he concluded that each cell of the embryo had the genetic potential to become any cell. And that basically disproved the idea that there was a fully formed organism inside that zygote. If he had taken away half of that zygote, it would have taken away half of that frog, and it would not have been able to develop into a fully formed frog. Now, fast forward to today. We do still have questions about how different tissues and organs develop in multicellular organs. So again, we started off as one cell. So why is it that as we grow, some of the cells that we make become, part of our eyeballs? Some cells become part of our liver. Some cells become our bones. How does that work? We still have questions about that, but we've learned a lot more about how organisms develop. Now, when I use that term develop or development, I'm referring to the process by which a fertilized egg or a zygote transforms into an adult organism. You do a lot of development early on in your life, and it eventually starts to slow down in adults. It never actually stops, but we use the term senescence to refer to aging. And again, development's going to slow at this point, but it doesn't completely stop. Another really important term is differentiation. And this is the process that results in cells acquiring specialized shapes and functions. So again, if we're comparing something like a neuron, which we've learned about, has a long, kind of weird, skinny shape and a very specific function, and we compare that cell to a muscle fiber, which is actually also long and skinny, but has a very different function, how do those different cell types actually come about? And that is referring to differentiation. What you're going to be doing today is the explore and explain how do cells divide. So you're going to follow a page in OneNote that has all of these instructions. You're going to be learning more about a really important process called mitosis. That sounds like meiosis, and the processes are similar, but It's really important to distinguish between the two. They are not the same and their functions are very different. So go ahead and switch over to OneNote and follow the instructions there.